Hey, thanks for joining me today for episode 16 of Business in the Bedroom, a bootstrapper's guide to doing it. I'm your host, producer Jemmy, and I'm providing practical advice for the newbie entrepreneur like yourself. And today, I'm going to talk to you about something real and something raw. It's mental health and my business. Let's get into it. This episode is brought to you by Flintstone Media. Listen in and let's do this. So when I first began this podcast, I told you up front that this would be the good, the bad, and the ugly of business. I was going to be very open and honest and say all the things. This has been a difficult week. This has been a shitty and sad and difficult week. And I wanted to tell you that, and I wanted to bring that onto this show today. Because for a couple reasons. One, I didn't have anything else prepared because it's once again been a sad, shitty, and depressing, and difficult week. So I didn't have anything prepared like I normally do. And I kind of panicked about that yesterday a little bit. And then I told myself, you know what? This is not the time to show up prepared. This is the time to show up and just get into it. So I want to first start by explaining this has been such a roller coaster. I've never experienced quite a time like this where as at the same time there is many amazing highs, there are equally amazing, for lack of a better word, lows. So yes, it was like huge highs, huge dips this week. So I want to start out with the highs. And I'm starting there because honestly, I haven't had a chance to celebrate them yet. And before I get into all this other crap, I want to celebrate my wins as a business owner real quick. So there are two that pop out huge in my mind. I mean, massive, massive, massive wins. Especially as a woman, I get mansplained a lot. As a Black woman, I get underestimated a lot. And one of the things that is a big win for me was able to prove a whole lot of mansplaining wrong. So I love being able to launch new shows with a sponsor already attached to the show. And in reviving Florida Podcast Network, I really needed that to be, not even wanted, I needed that to be how I got these shows launched. I needed them to have sponsors from day one, from episode one. And so with the first show that's coming out as part of that, it's going to be hosted by my brother, freshmixpodcast.com. And the thing is, I really wanted a good, solid launch partner. And so I put this whole package together, sizzle reel, the whole 9 yards. Let me tell you, not only did I hit target, but blew it out of the water. I could not have asked for a better partner to launch with. I can't quite reveal it yet. In fact, it could be by the time that this releases, because I'm recording this on April 24th, a Saturday. So it could be that the time this comes out, with that this is already public. I'm not sure yet, and that goes for actually both pieces of news. But it's a massive sponsor, and they are going to come in and do a really solid sponsorship with us that goes well above and beyond anything I could have hoped for with just this one show alone. So I'm so excited. I'm on pins and needles to tell you all the things, but just know that that is a fantastic win for me this week as a business owner, as a woman, to just say, you know, I had a goal and I had a vision and it's coming to fruition. So major, major win. The other win was, oh my goodness, this is one of those things that, you know, when you put things in place and you say, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but I'm just going to step out on faith and hope that God puts all the pieces in place for me and waters the ground that I laid the seeds in and all that kind of stuff. This is one that came out of nowhere, but definitely is the fruit of some well-laid seeds from the past. And this one is that a friend of mine are about to sign on the dotted line to host another show. Don't worry, I'm not getting off this show or any other things. I'm not going anywhere. But to host another show in the podcasting space for a really, really, really big brand. Like I hit it out the park, like, whoa, I can't believe this actually happened kind of brand. And I couldn't be more proud. So that is another huge, major, like top of the roller coaster win that I haven't yet been able to celebrate. So I wanted to celebrate with you right now. So yay, let the crowds go wild, shoot off the bells, all the things. That's what I wanted to talk to you about first and foremost, before I got into all the other stuff. Because listen, as business owners, we set goals, we have visions. Things can be going really, really well. Things can start to finally gel. And then things can also smack you in the gut really, really hard, punch you and knock you down. And holy crap, this week, as much as it tried to lift me up, it also tried to knock me down. Now, I want to say this before I say anything else. The news I'm about to share, some of it is a lot of it, but some of it has nothing to do with me personally, meaning it's not my story to tell, but it's the story of someone I love very, very, very much. And so it made my heart bleed as if it had happened to me. And so the first thing out the gate, a friend of mine's son has been missing. That's tough. I'll just let that sit there for a minute. I have a son. I cannot imagine. And it's the only thing it's been so top of mind, what she's going through and what she's feeling. So whatever your faith is, you don't know her, and I will not share her name, but please, please, please lift her up in prayer. Number 2, I have been a member of an amazing, wonderful church called St. Joseph's that has embraced me now, going on about 15 years or so. And in my time there, they've just become my second family. And when I first started there, I actually was helping out with youth and became friends with a lot of the young kids, the teenagers there. Watched them then grow up. Some of them have gotten married. It's blowing my mind. And, friends with their whole families, including their parents, including their siblings, older and younger. And over the last weekend, one of these children, who I've known since he was my son's age, passed away suddenly, very suddenly, at the end of a race. Oh, God. He crossed the finish line and just collapsed. I'm unsure. I don't know if the family's sure yet, but I'm unsure if it's, if it was brain, if it was heart, but it was unexpected. And when I say this kid, he was a walking smile that lit up the room. And he was part of the youth band, and he would be at the front singing and doing all the hand motions so everyone could follow along. And he was a light. It is so tough to know that a light I will never say is extinguished, but that a light is moved on. And we can't see it anymore. And he was such a light. And getting that news was really hard. So I want to bring it back to this topic for just a minute, because I want to impress upon you some lessons as much as I can through all of this. That as a business owner, you are still human. Your personal life still matters. And it's difficult because you know that as a business person, your clients, your customers, they're also human, and their lives also matter. Their businesses also matter. The reasons they've hired you, the problems that you're solving for them, they also matter. So how do you find the balance? How do you figure out? Do you compartmentalize? What do you do when you know you have things to step up to and show up for? Because people need you. And what you need is to just crawl in a hole and just cry.
This has been the hardest week to keep showing up because of that news. Also because early in the week, I found out that someone else who I love very, very much, someone who has meant so much to me, he is part of my family. Without question, he is part of my family and will be the rest of our lives. And he's a white man. And in case you never knew, I'm a black girl. And he is part of my family. And the reason I say that is because this man, who has one of the best hearts in the world, got accused of being something disgusting that he is not and never could be. And to see a friend who you love so much be accused of racism is mind-boggling and infuriating. And I have had so much anger at that situation because when my friends hurt, I hurt. So I also knew that I needed to step up with my melanated skin and be his ally as much as he has been an ally for our community. So being supportive of him and there for him in spite of everything else has been difficult, but necessary. And so that was also something that has preoccupied me this week. But there has to be space for it all. Through the grieving, through the fighting, you still have to have space somehow as a solopreneur, a parentpreneur, an entrepreneur, to make space for the business. As difficult as it was, I still set aside a moment to definitely cry, let myself cry, you let yourself get it out, but then still setting aside a moment, a space, a time. And you can set an alarm and make a timer and give yourself 60 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you need to tell yourself that this is a temporary commitment of energy in a moment. Then you commit your energy to your business for those 30 minutes, those 60 minutes. You move projects forward, you answer your emails, you get there for your team, you show up for the phone call that you needed to have with that client who relied on you for something. You do your best. You're still human. So if that means that some of these sacrifices, some of these things need to be sacrificed and pushed aside, then that is okay too. If that's the case, just be communicative. So I sent a couple of emails out. I was very choosy in who I felt needed the email. But I did send, I think, 2 emails this week saying, I apologize for any delay. Just dealing with some personal family issues. It's temporary, but I apologize to let them know. The last thing you want is for your clients to think that you're ignoring them. What is helpful, and I learned this as a parent, to be honest with you, and I'm applying it to my business, is that the person feels heard and feels acknowledged. So you want to make sure that whatever you're going through, that you don't allow your clients and customers to have zero idea of what's going on and have it be something that's affecting their deadlines or whatever. If that means communicating with them an expectation of a delay, if that means something has been delayed that's not time critical, but you still feel like was expected, so you should respond and apologize, that's fine. If it means delegating to somebody, a team member, if you have those, a friend in the space who you can trust to handle something, gaining help that way, there are workarounds. If you're going through something and you need help figuring out how to work around it and how to still show up to your business, you email me. Jaime@flintstonemedia.com. Email me or DM me. I'll help you. I'll talk to you. This week has also been difficult for things that had nothing to do with me or anyone I knew, really. But this week, getting the George Floyd verdict in, I'm not going to say too much about it other than to say there's nothing that feels good about any of it, even though it feels like a win. There's nothing that feels good about it because it still had to happen. And bringing back all the emotions that rustles up inside of, in particular, people of color, that's a hard week. This was hard on a lot of us. We have been going through it.
If you're not on Clubhouse yet, you've heard me mention it before, and there have been a lot of rooms this week about this topic. If you're out there as a Black entrepreneur in particular, it's okay. You've had a difficult week. It's okay. If you are not a person of color and you have people of color on your team, just raise your radar about this. When these things happen, we're not okay. We need a little extra space to breathe. I just wanted to put that out there as well. I also had this week. This is what I mean. I'm not meaning this to be a trauma dump. That is not what this is meant to be. This is just meant to be an honest look at a very, very difficult week and how sometimes it causes you to have to really dig in deep and figure out a way to still show up. I also got a legal threat thrown at me. I got an email, a very nasty email, but it was said with a smile at the end. They literally closed with a smiley face. Threatening legal action against me. I love those emails, first of all, because especially when they reveal within the context of the email that they clearly are not a lawyer and they clearly have not sought legal counsel because the email has no teeth and makes no sense. But I got one of those emails this week and I, of course, had to deal with it. You still have to. So that was another thing I had to deal with. Side note on that, by the way, trademarks are important. So we'll get into that in another episode. Just side note, trademarking your stuff is important. This week was also difficult because I had a really, really tough call with one of my clients. It must have been the most difficult call I've ever had with a client. I won't say details on the why it was so difficult. That's not my place. But the emotions of it rocked me in good and bad ways, but it rocked me. This client opened up a lot about things going on in their personal life. It brought up a lot of things that were going on in my personal life. And it was a difficult conversation on how we move forward, given our own personal circumstances, with this element of each of our businesses. I'll just put it at that. It was not easy. It was not an easy conversation. The client and I are fine, meaning personally, we're okay. He knows who he is. We're good. But the conversation was a difficult one. So this was the week I was looking at, right? Now, one thing I did have on my horizon for this week that I was looking forward to, and a lot of people out there who are parents can understand this one. My son has been home for virtual school this entire year, literally since over a year ago. And it's been a difficult adjustment for both of us. You know, I thankfully already worked from home, so that wasn't an adjustment, but it definitely wasn't an adjustment suddenly having an 8/9-year-old coworker around all the time who had computer issues every 5 minutes. That's fun to have during a meeting. But anyway, I digress. So I was looking forward to this last Thursday. Why? Because in Florida, we have standardized tests that were happening, and the state required the students to be in school for those tests. You had to be on campus. So as nervous as I was on COVID levels, which I'm not going into, but as nervous as I was about that, I was happy that he was going to be able to go and have an experience at school for a day and fine. And yeah, the silver lining, I'm always trying to find a silver lining. And the silver lining was that mommy could have a day of work, or at least half a day, where she wasn't interrupted every 5 minutes. Well, that didn't work out. Because out of all the days of the year, literally the first day in a year, I would have had half a day of peace and quiet. Half a day. First day of the year. One of the few websites I still manage and maintain as an long-term ongoing agreement from the old website support side of my business. Of course, one of those took a crapper. Of course. So, of course, you had to deal with it all and be on chat with tech support all morning to figure it out. Guess who didn't get a quiet, relaxing morning? Me. So the thing that through death, through difficulties, through everything I had to go through this week, and never for a minute being able to catch my breath and celebrate the 2 amazing wins that I had, that silver lining moment, it got completely shot in the foot. So when I tell you that, like, this was a really difficult week, It was, and it never let up. So I'm telling you all this because I want you to feel encouraged. We are not all the cover model that you see on the magazine. I don't mean in body shape. I mean like in Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, whatever, whoever's on the cover, their life behind that photo shoot, there's shitty moments too. There's sad moments too. I have had those shitty, sad moments all week. I'm sure you have had shitty, sad moments in your life. And building a business through it is challenging. But figuring out how to get help where you need it, how to offshoot some stuff when you need it, how to set aside some work that you can and defer it when you can, apologize and let clients know what's going on when appropriate. All of those things, those are the things you need to do to give yourself the space. And it's important that you do, because if you don't take care of your own mental health, if you don't let yourself recoup, recover, relax, and rejuvenate, your business will suffer. Your clients will suffer. If I hadn't taken even, trust me, I took a lot of time this week. There were a lot of tears shed this week. If I hadn't done that, if I had bottled it all up and said, I just need to work all week, I would have lost my mind. And next week, I would have been completely unproductive. I would have had migraines. I would have been awful. And in reverse, if instead of digging in and just doing work, if I had instead just crawled in a ball and cried the entire week, which I felt like doing, that would have also been very bad for my business. So it's about finding balance. It's similar to what I talked about on episode 8. I think it was called Self-Care and Success, or Success and Self-Care, one or the other. You can find it. It's episode 8. That I am sure of. I talk a lot more in depth on the how to take care of yourself while you're finding your success, because the two go hand in hand. And just when you think you have something amazing to celebrate, there can be something right around the corner ready to take you right back down. Just be prepared for it. Honor yourself when you need the rest, but still figure out how to show up for your clients and your customers. I hope that helps. This wonderful episode on my business and my mental health. It has been a hell of a week. And I had to absolutely commit to recording this today, unprepared as I was. I just decided to speak from the heart, and I committed to recording this today because in an hour and a half, I get my second shot, and Lord knows if I'm even going to be able to get out of bed tomorrow. So for you, I showed up on this microphone today. So do your best to still show up. But remember, it's not just your clients you're showing up for. You also have to show up for yourself. Thanks for tuning in for what ended up being just a deep dive into Jemmy's crappy week. Lord have mercy. Oh my goodness. Well, one thing I do want to mention is, friends are amazing. So please, if you're feeling low, reach out. And start following me on Clubhouse. Remember on there that I'm at producer Jemmy, spelled Jaime. And, look up Dreamers Become Doers. It's the club that I've started there, and it's really, really growing. Oh my gosh. But what I'm going to start doing there, because this show doesn't have guests, is have the kind of guests that you would expect on this show. People who have business services that they can offer to small businesses, entrepreneurs and stuff. I'm going to have those people on to talk about their area of expertise. And we're going to do like a little interview, 10-15 minute interview on Clubhouse, followed by Q&As. So my brother's going to be talking about contracts. I have like a whole list of people that are really ready to go. Cortesia, an awesome woman, is going to be talking about branding and trademarks. Trademarks. I think I've maybe mentioned trademarks once or twice before in this episode. So just keep an eye out for that if you are on Clubhouse. And if you're not on there yet, just email me or DM me and I will share an invite and get you on there. So I want to hear from you for that. I want to hear from you about any questions you have about the business you're building from your own bedroom or any of the things. Please email me. Jemmy, Jaime at flintstonemedia.com. Follow me at Flintstone Media or DM me on social media. And then if you have anything that you want to add here, like ask your question, I actually will feature you right on the show. I'll play it right here. It'll be really fun. You can record a quick message at bizinthebedroom.com just by hitting the button. It's super easy. So that's bizinthebedroom.com. All right. That's it for today. I'm going to go lay down and get up and then go get my second shot. Oh my goodness. So tune in next time. We are just going to keep this rabbit train rolling with business. We're going to bring it back to the core of this podcast and give you some more practical tips. So remember, hit it hard, keep the lights on.